And now, probably one of the most confusing and difficult parts of Module 1 is how to understand how syllabication works in Greek. Mounce gives you some ground rules, and I'm going to modify them slightly. So these are the same rules for syllabication that you find in your textbook on Mounce, but I'm going to add what I call ground rule 0. It's something that's inferred, but Mounce doesn't explicitly state, and that's syllables want to end with a vowel if possible. Just remember that rule. Unless there's another rule that interferes, most words want to end a syllable with a vowel. And that'll actually kind of help you understand the different rules of syllabication. Why do we need to know how to break a word into syllables? Again, it's pronunciation. If you break a word in the wrong place, you can pronounce it in a funny way, and it's going to be hard to communicate. Not that we speak a lot of Greek to one another, but it's certainly in classroom use. As I say Greek words out loud, you'll have a much better time remembering them, understanding them, if you know the rules of syllabication and how Greek words divide and are pronounced syllable by syllable. So the rule 0, one of the most important, is that syllables want to end with a vowel if possible. So always remember that. And one of the first rules that Mounce gives you is that if you count the number of vowels and diphthongs, that immediately tells you how many syllables there are in a word. So count the number of vowels and diphthongs, and you know the amount of syllables in a word. So let's look at ake ka amen, ake ka amen, which is we have heard. That's what we have heard. How many vowels do you see here? We have 1, alpha, 2, eta, 3, omicron, 4. Now notice, this is not a diphthong. That's not one of your diphthongs. We have 8 diphthongs. This is not one of them. These are pronounced separately. And this is the epsilon. Here is 5. So if there's 5 vowels, you know that how you break up the word, it's going to be 5 syllables. And again, I'm going to apply the rule. Syllables want to end with a vowel if possible. So here is one syllable a, k, ka, amen. A, k, ka, amen. That's how. So why don't you say this with me? A, k, ka, amen. That's how you divide that syllable up. Let's look at this one. How many vowels are there? There's 1, the alpha, 2, the upsilon. Now this is a true diphthong. So you count that as one sound, because that's what diphthongs are, and that would make it 3 syllables or 3. So remember, it's either a vowel or a diphthong. How many are there? There's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So there are 4 vowels plus diphthongs, and therefore if there's 4 vowels / diphthongs, there are going to be 4 syllables. So I'm going to divide it. So here, the way I would divide it is, well, I'm tempted to break the syllable up after the alpha, but you have an RT here, or RT, that is not a consonant cluster. I don't know any word in English that begins with an R sounding letter and T sounding letter, so they have to be pronounced separately. So I'm going to draw this as mar, tu, rumen. That's how you would break up this word. Marturumen. Marturumen. So that this means we are witnessing. We are witnessing. So marturumen. So we went over rule 0. Syllables want to end with a vowel if possible. But here we got a case where it was not possible. One consonant went with one syllable. The other consonant started the other syllable because they can't be read together. And then there is the rule where excuse me, there is one vowel or diphthong per syllable. The second rule is a single consonant by itself, not a cluster, goes with the following vowel. A single consonant by itself, not a cluster, goes with the following vowel. So what does that mean? Okay, so again, let's apply what we know. How many vowels are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know that there are 5 syllables. Here's he. Okay. Here we have a row. It says here, a single consonant, that's a row, that's a single consonant by itself will go with the following vowel. So it's not going to be a part of the omega. It's going with the following vowel with the alpha. So I would divide it this way. So here we go. This is he-o-rakamen. He-o-rakamen. So this syllabification has 5 syllables, 5 vowels. It wants to end with a vowel if possible. In this case, most of the syllables do. And when we had a single consonant by itself, the rho went with the alpha here. The rho went with the alpha here. The kappa went with the alpha here. So following rule 2. So this is we have seen. We have seen. And then we are seeing, or beholding. This is a different word. Etheosametha. Let's apply the rules again. 1 vowel, 2, 3, and we ask, is this a diphthong? It's not. Remember, we only have 8 diphthongs. You have to memorize what those 8 are, and you'll realize that epsilon alpha is not one of those diphthongs, so you have to pronounce them separately. So we have 1, 2, 3 vowels, 4, 5, and now we have 6. So 6 syllables. So the, sa, metha. Notice what I did here. The, sa, metha. If there's a single consonant by itself, like theta, or sigma, or mu, goes with the following vowel. So it's and then the theta goes with the following vowel. The, The sigma goes not with the following alpha. Sa. The mu goes with the following epsilon, me, tha. So te, a, samata. Say that. Te, a, samata. So if we say these words, when you know how the syllables are broken up, it's actually much easier to read. So I'm going to clear this. And we're going to read this again, but this time I'm just going to divide into syllables. Ke, ka, amen. So ke, ka, amen. The stress is here. You see where I put the stress. Mar, to, rumen. Mar, to, rumen. I put the stress here. He, o, ra, kamen. So he, o, ra, kamen. Stress is here. E, the, a, sa, metha. Oops, right there. That's where the a, he, a, sa, metha, and the stress is there. Two consecutive vowels that do not form a diphthong are divided. So two consecutive vowels that do not form a diphthong are divided by. So we kind of went over that. So if they're not a diphthong, you divide the vowels and pronounce them separately. So that's kind of a redundant rule, but here's the, the. So two consecutive vowels that are not a diphthong are divided. Sa, me, tha. Here's Isaiah. Now, sa, ias. Sorry, this is divided. This alpha iota is usually a diphthong, but you have this diacritical mark. You have that diaresis. Remember that? It's called a diaresis. That means that what's normally a diphthong, I, should not be pronounced as a-e separately. So a-sa-ias. A-sa-ias. That's Isaiah. Rule 4, a consonant cluster that cannot be pronounced together is divided, and the first consonant goes with the preceding vowel. Okay, first consonant goes with the preceding vowel. So if you have a consonant cluster and they cannot pronounce, or two consonants together and they cannot be pronounced together. It's not a typical cluster. So we have for example, stop, and the S and the T in stop can be pronounced together. But there are combinations of letters that do not allow. They're not true clusters. They're not allowed. They don't blend together for to make the same sound. What would be an example of that? Yeah, well, let's look at the Greek examples. So here we have how many vowels there are again? Let's ask. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 vowels. So whatever we have here, it's going to only be 3 syllables. The moo and the m, the moo m sounding letter, the moo and the p, or the p sounding letter. If you just think about in English, is there any word that begins with an M and P together, an M sound and a P sound together? The answer is no. So this is not a true cluster. It needs to be divided. So this is M, and then the sigma, this right here, it's a sigma TH sound. Is there a word that begins with a th? No, no, I can't think of one word in English that begins with an S sounding letter and a TH sound. So this has to be divided. So it's M prosthen, M prosthen. Just to make this a little bit clearer. M prosthen, that's where the line division is. And then here you have an R sounding letter and a key sounding letter, urch. And again, we ask in English, have you ever seen a consonant cluster where these sounds begin a word? The answer is no. So this is not a true consonant cluster. You would divide it here, 1 vowel, 2 vowel, and I would divide it arhes, arhes. So this is pronounced, the first word of this rule is pronounced emprosthen. The second word is pronounced arhes. And last word, if you have a true consonant cluster that can be pronounced together, then that cluster goes with the following vowel. You don't break up the cluster. So you would never, for example, with the word stop, try to pronounce the sigma, the S sound and the top, like stop. You wouldn't try to pronounce it as 2 syllables. You would say it as 1 syllable. So here we have Christos, and this key and this row, this k sound plus this R sound. Have we seen words that begin like this? Yeah, Christmas, right? Chronicles. So we do see a CHR sounding like a cluster in English, and therefore this has to be together. Do we see an S sounding and a T sounding letter together? Yeah, we just did stop. So these letters need to be together. So I would draw it this way, divide it this way. Here is 1 vowel. Here's 2. The clusters that can be kept together should be kept together. So you have kri and then stos. Stos should be a part of the second syllable because that's a cluster, a true cluster, and true clusters you don't divide. Same thing with graphe. 1 vowel, 2, and I will divide here, graphe. So let's say these letters again. I'm going to erase them. Okay. So I would divide the syllables this way. E, the, a, samatha. Say it with me. E, the, a, samatha. I would divide this one. And remember that because you have these 2 dots, that means you have to pronounce the vowels separately. So this is a, sa, ias. A, sa, ias. A, sa, ias. And that's the best the Greeks can do to make this pronounce the name Isaiah. Then we have, I would divide it this way, M prosthen, arhes, because this M sounding, P sounding letters cannot be pronounced together. And this R sounding, CH sounding letters cannot pronounce together. You don't see English words ever beginning this way, and therefore it's not a true cluster. But here, Christos and graphe. That's how you would divide those syllables and pronounce them. Couple last two rules. Double consonants are divided, and then compound words are divided where they're joined. And I'll explain perhaps the first one, which is pretty self-explanatory. If you have two letters of the same sound, you do divide them. So, excuse me, even though you have the gamma nasal is considered to be a special Greek consonant cluster, you would divide the sounds because of an N sounding letter combined with a G sounding letter. So you have an N sounding letter combined with a G sounding letter. Again, ask yourself, have I ever seen an English word that begins like this? And the answer is no. So how many vowels there are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know I'm going to have 5 syllables. A, pan, ge, lamen. Ampangelamen. That's how I would break it up. And you have a double lambda here that's split and a double gamma here that's split. The double gamma, double lambda, they are split. Here I have 1 vowel, 2, 3, 4. This is not a diphthong, so you have to pronounce them separately. Split the double consonant, pa, re, sia. Pa, re, sia. So this is, let me make it clear. Okay. Paresia. So apangelamen and paresia. And then compound words are divided where sometimes words do combine. So let me show you that. This is Christos, where we get the word antichrist. Anti being to take the place of, and Christos being Christ or the Messiah. So an antichrist is literally something that replaces Christ or tries to take the place of Christ. Well, anti is a preposition, and Christos is another word. These are two words that have been combined together. So you always separate the syllable break is always between where the words are divided. And so I know that. And then this is ekbalo. This is a preposition ek, which means out. Balo means throw. Ekbalo means throw out. So we know that there's going to be a syllable break there. But how many vowels are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is anti-Christos. And then how many vowels here? 1, 2, 3. And this is ekbalo. And that completes the rules.